In this WrestleTalk news, a WWE vs AEW crossover match has been announced. We have an update on the returns of Edge and CM Punk. 2 Impact stars are officially no longer under contract. My review of Raw and more. Subscribe and enable notifications to always on for daily wrestling news videos.
Support WrestleTalk!
Once upon a time, Ric Flair walked out on the Raw after Mania in 2008 and said he would never wrestle again. In the first instance of a wrestler not sticking to their assignment ever, he lied. But now the date and opponents are set for what should be the Nature Boy's final wrestling match. Maybe. Probably. We'll see. While the last match of one of the most famous wrestlers ever would be newsworthy on its own, this match has added intrigue of being a WWE versus AEW match. Flair tweeted during the day on Monday that he was coming for one of WWE's own, with loads of speculation about who from WWE would get the green light for the match. In the end, it was revealed that Flair will team with his son-in-law, an AEW and AAA star Andrade El Idolo, to take on AEW star Jay Lethal and WWE producer and SummerSlam referee Jeff Jarrett. It's not exactly Roman Reigns versus Kenny Omega, but you know, baby steps. Dave Meltzer has also reported on Wrestling Observer Radio that Flair recently suffered a foot injury, but not one that's severe enough to pull him from the match. So you can expect to see Andrade do the lion's share of the work, as if that wasn't clear already, because Ric Flair is 73 years old. Edge has not appeared on Raw since Judgment Day turned on him on the June 6th episode of Raw. However, we now have an update on when we could be seeing him, courtesy of that lovely scamp Sean Rossap at Fightful Select. Sean has reported that WWE plans to bring Edge in for Monday's episode of Raw next week from Madison Square Garden. However, it should be noted that he couldn't confirm whether or not WWE will actually be using him on the show, which will serve as the go-home episode for SummerSlam. Edge has been the focus of a series of vignettes that WWE has been running since Money in the Bank, showing off iconic garb of his biggest rivals. And with next week being the 20th anniversary of Rey Mysterio and his latest video featuring lots of stuff of Rey, it's possible that we will see him on the show next week to set up something for SummerSlam. We've also got an update on the return of AEW World Champion CM Punk, who last wrestled on the June 1st episode of AEW Dynamite before announcing that he had an injury. This was not thought to be an injury that would keep Punk out of action for long, and now there is more to back that up. Dave Meltzer reported on Wrestling Observer Radio that Punk is not expected to be out for much longer. He said Punk should not be long before he returns. I mean, not this month, probably not August, but perhaps All Out, perhaps Full Gear. I think it'll be one of those shows when he's back. This lines up with what we've been led to believe thus far, with many fans hoping for an all-out main event of CM Punk versus Jon Moxley for the undisputed AEW Championship. It seemed like a foregone conclusion that the Good Brothers would be wrapping up with Impact Wrestling, and that has now been confirmed by Mike Johnson of PW Insider. Johnson reports that Carl Anderson and Doc Gallows are 100% free and clear to sign elsewhere after their contracts expired with Impact. The duo have now returned to New Japan Pro Wrestling in recent months, with Anderson even winning the Never Openweight Championship, and New Japan is reported to be their next focus. However, it's also noted that they can still work Impact dates when possible, so it does not appear that there's any hard feelings between the two sides. Thank you for your support on Patreon, LIW's American Muscle Tyler Gamola, and Will the MS Warrior Stewart. Get your own WrestleTalk news, Patreon bumper shoutout over at patreon.com/WrestleTalk. And now it's time for my review of Monday Night Raw, aka Gee, I wonder if this crowd will boo Logan Paul's Spoilers They Did edition of Monday Night Raw in about 5 minutes. Although really it should only take me 2. The show didn't open with your usual 20-minute boring promo. It instead started with a section from WWE's quarterly investors calls, as Titus O'Neil was in the ring to talk about his role as global ambassador and what that means. As far as I can tell, it means he's here to make sure I have a good time. Now, I've written this script after I finished watching the episode of Raw. Titus, you failed, buddy. He ended this segment by saying that WWE isn't a place to talk about politics or religion, and they would never do anything divisive. Right. Look, Titus is a lovely guy. We've got a video of him later on building backpacks for kids who don't have backpacks. But I don't know why this was on TV. I don't know why this wasn't just done for the live crowd. It wasn't bad or anything, just a really weird way to open the show. Becky Lynch then came out for more talking, doing an extended train metaphor to announce she'll be facing the Raw Women's Champion at SummerSlam, which was decided when Bianca Belair took on Carmella, their 4th match in 3 weeks. And even after all of those matches, the crowd still don't buy Mella winning, even though they did do a neat little stipulation that if Belair got counted out, she'd also lose her title. So while the crowd didn't buy any of Mella's near falls, they did buy into Belair getting counted out. She didn't, and she won with the KOD to set up Belair versus Becky at SummerSlam. Guys, you know you have other women on your Raw roster, right? Kevin Owens made his return to Raw, and it was all to set up Riddle versus Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. It would appear that his feud with Ezekiel is done now, which had no resolution, by the way, and he's just doing nothing. Good job, WWE. This was a totally fine segment and saw Rollins lay out Riddle with a couple of stomps after attacking him from out of nowhere. Kevin Owens, the man who returned in this segment, simply vanished. The Judgment Day, possibly the lamest act in WWE right now, cut another promo on Dominic Mysterio and, you'll never guess what, showed a recap of them kicking Edge out of the group because it's the only thing they've done of note. Damian Priest then took on Rey Mysterio in a fun little match which saw Priest win. They then set up Rey for a concerto and asked Dom to join their group or they'd finish off Rey just like they did Edge. Dom accepted, but Judgment Day beat them both up because this was all a test. This is a test. It was announced through several segments later on in the show that next week it'll be the Mysterions versus Judgment Day for Rey's 20th anniversary celebration at Madison Square Garden. And with Edge's latest spooky promo featuring a lot of Mysterio iconography, I think we may get a big angle next week. The question is whether or not Dom turns. Either way, I just want him to shave those sideburns, hippie. Seth Rollins beat Ezekiel in a really good match, and it did what a lot of WWE matches on Raw and SmackDown don't. It built Rollins up and made him look good to hype his match with Riddle at the pay-per-view. Just remember that for some of the matches later on this very episode of Raw. Because it's now time for the nonsense part of the show where time is irrelevant and pacing doesn't matter. Because we got a recap of Omos beating the #1 contenders to the tag titles last week. We then got Omos and MVP hanging out with the Usos, who then made their entrance. We then got an announcement that it will be Angelo Dawkins versus Omos. We then got an ad break. We then got a recap of Judgment Day beating up the Mysterions. We then got the announcement of Rey's 20th anniversary at Madison Square Garden next week. We then got Judgment Day cutting a promo on the Mysterions and the announcement that it will be Judgment Day versus the Mysterions next week. We then got a graphic recapping Jeff Jarrett being the special guest referee for the Usos versus Street Profits at SummerSlam. Then Omos made his entrance. Then the Street Profits cut a promo. Then they made their entrance for Dawkins versus Omos, a match that was announced 15 minutes ago. And the match ended after 1 minute and 20 seconds when MVP tripped Dawkins to get DQ'd. Reading that made me feel like Excalibur before the main event of Dynamite, announcing matches for Rampage next week's Dynamite, the next AEW pay-per-view, and whatever's happening with ROH. But yeah, MVP got Omos DQ'd by tripping Dawkins, and then Adam Pearce, who I guess is a babyface this week, made a tag team match player of Omos and MVP versus the Street Profits, which lasted less than 5 minutes because the Usos, remember they made their entrance about 20 minutes ago, got in the ring and caused a DQ. What a colossal waste of time. But I can hear you in the comments already. But Luke, last week you didn't like that Omos beat the #1 contenders to the tag titles. Would you rather he beat them again this week? And my answer to that would be no. You could have the Profits pin MVP. Right there to be pinned after all, or better yet, don't book yourself into a corner where you have to do 2 DQ finishes one after the other, particularly because your next match ends in a countouts. Theory then came out for his brand new gimmick, the Walking Recap Package, recapping him losing the US title at Money in the Bank, recapping him winning Money in the Bank, recapping how he's going to cash in at SummerSlam, and recapping Dolph Ziggler attacking him last week. Look, I've always really liked the Stan Lee ethos that every comic book is someone's first comic book, and in a similar way, every episode of Raw is someone's first episode of Raw. Poor bastards. So I get that you have to bring everyone up to speed, but there has to be a better way than this. This led to Theory versus AJ Styles with Ziggler at ringside, so let's spin the wheel of bad finishes. Oh, come on, give me a good one. Lane countout, which you already knew because I said it a moment ago. Oh, and Veer said boo or something in a backstage segment. Did you know that WWE has over 70 billion views on YouTube? It's almost as many as WrestleTalk. Alexa Bliss continued her downward spiral into irrelevancy by teaming with Asuka and Dana Brooke to take on Nikki ASH, Doudrop and Tamina, which was all to do 24/7 shenanigans, which included, and I'm not kidding here, Alexa Bliss winning the 24/7 title. Remember when we all thought she was going to win Money in the Bank? And then the main event Because of course it was Miz TV with Logan Paul, who got booed so badly Corey Graves pointed out on commentary that fans liked Miz more. That means it isn't working, lads! After a few more recap videos, Logan Paul challenged Miz to a match at SummerSlam, and Miz accepted because something testicles. Ciampa attacked Paul, but Logan escaped and then ran away, making him look like a total chump. Why not just have the Miz lay him out? And I guess the show ran short because Miz then cut a promo. So that was this week's Raw. Can't wait for next week's show when something will actually happen. This was 2 out of 5. To paraphrase the great Sinead O'Connor, it's been several hours and 63 days. Bloody hell, it's a good song. Since Sasha Banks and Naomi walked out on WWE over frustrations with their creative. But these frustrations over creative weren't just seemingly shared by Banks and Naomi, as according to a new Fightful Select report, things only got good for the women's division recently in terms of creative.